Welcome back. Video number 2. There it is. Cut. That means cut. No.
Action.
So, we have great news. We got the email confirmation with our tracking number for our 6 275 watt solar panels. Whoa. The company that we purchased them from is based out of Arizona. The solar panels themselves, they have a total warranty of 20 years, which most of them, they last way longer than that. These that we purchased, we found just, again, by scouring through and scrolling and being balls deep in my phone and keeping a really close eye on the things that are important to our mission. I found these panels in Arizona for $75 a piece, and they still have 12 years of the original 20-year warranty left on the panels. So we purchased 6 for now. They said that they have 110, so we'll check back with them a little bit later when we have a little more funding to purchase some more panels. Right now, we only need enough panels to maintain the tiny house. So far, 75, let's do the math. 75 times 6.
Carry the 5. Subtract 2.
1. $450. Am I right?
I don't know. I don't do math in my head.
Yes. $450.
We can use my toes.
Solar panels and battery are two things that you generally can find good deals on that you would be safe purchasing used. And let me explain. Your solar panels are going to run your electricity during the day for whatever it is you happen to be running that day. As long as there's a lot of sun out, you'll be able to operate your computer and charge your phones, and your refrigerator will run and that sort of thing. If you have AC, your AC will kick on with your thermostat, that sort of thing. When it's cloudy outside, your solar system is going to have to know when to switch. So you need a charge controller, an MPPT charge controller. That's just fancy talk for the best charge controller for the setup. What that's going to do is that's going to tell your solar system, hey, it's a little cloudy outside, or hey, it's nighttime. We need to be running from the battery. It's also going to tell your solar system that when it's really sunny outside, whatever the solar panels are operating, if there's any extra juice, the charge controller is going to redirect that extra juice to your batteries to charge the batteries so that you're not wasting power when it's really sunny and it's hot out. So charge controller, super critical. Buy it new. I've been finding them for like $500-$600. It's not terrible, but you're gonna want that new because that's like a smart product. That's something that if you were to buy used, there could be some type of a problem deep inside that you're not gonna find out about because you switch it on and it turns on and everything's great, but you don't have a warranty because you bought it off some guy on the internet. Make sure that something like that is going to be a new product. Also, you're needing a pure sine wave inverter. Most solar setups have 4,000 watt pure sine wave inverter. All that does is make the waves, the electricity is going to be steady rather than peaking and going up and down, that sort of thing. I'm going to be putting some graphics right here somewhere. Don't worry about it. It'll explain everything. But you want to buy that new as well, because that has a lot of working parts, a lot of moving components, and a lot of electronic mumbo jumbo going on inside of it. There's just more of a chance of something to go wrong. If you buy it used off of somebody, you don't have a warranty, again, you have issues. Batteries and solar panels, it's easy. The solar panels aren't cracked. As long as they have some warranty life left on them, they're probably going to be worth the money. We paid $75 per panel. We're going to get 12 years out of that panel at 275 watts. That's awesome. That's the kind of deal you're looking for. You gotta tell me when.
Oh, it's already going.
Okay. So the next thing that you can buy safely as a used item are the batteries. Batteries tend to lose life over time, but if you know that the battery's manufacturing date and that sort of thing, you can kind of gauge whether or not it's going to be a safe purchase or not, and whether or not you're going to get a good deal. So this is a 6-volt deep cycle battery. This battery is intended to be used in a golf cart. For a budget solar system, most people will tell you that a 6-volt golf cart deep cycle battery is the way to go. This battery, as well as these other 7 batteries, I bought the entire lot of 8 for $200. When I went to buy these batteries, I bought them from an old timer who tried to get the battery to spark in order to find out whether it had charge. I don't know why it didn't spark. Probably because we were meant to have these batteries and the universe knew I was coming to get them. But the old man couldn't get spark off the battery, and he didn't have a multimeter. When I pulled it out, he looked at it like it was some kind of crazy voodoo gibberish.
Alien object.
Exactly. So this is a 6-volt battery. Generally, you want your battery to be a little over 6 volts. 6 volts is just kind of like easier than saying 6 point something.
The standard.
But you want it over 6 volts, because if it's under 6 volts, that means that it's not holding charge, or it's not fully charged. And then at that point, you're going to have to hook up a battery charger before you can find out whether or not it's good. So when you go to buy your batteries, bring your multimeter with you, okay? I put the multimeter in a place where old timer couldn't see it. I don't mind telling you, I kind of snaked my way into this deal.
You look like you're about to start knitting.
So black is always negative and red is always positive. And what do we got?
Boom.
6.22 volts. Okay? Every battery tested over 6 volts. So I knew at that point that this was a safe purchase, these batteries. Either way, I paid $200 for 8 of these batteries, and they're all in perfectly good working order.
Ooh.
All 8 of them. So, for our tiny house, we have $650 so far in our solar setup. And that's with 6 275 watt solar panels and 8 6-volt batteries. So we're doing good. That's another part of it, is doing what you can when you can and being patient, because as long as you're diligent and you are on the internet and you're constantly looking for deals, you're going to find those deals, and hopefully you'll find them and they'll correspond with a time when you have a little extra cash and you can take advantage of it. These batteries will sit in this garage for quite a while, and I will probably have to put a trickle charger on them at some point, because they will kind of depreciate as far as their energy content. But I had to jump on it. You'd be an idiot not to. So we'll talk a little bit more about the tech stuff here in a second. I got some diagrams that I'm going to put in, and I'm going to talk over these diagrams with you and show you pretty much what a solar setup looks like on a DIY level and how you would wire it up. We'll talk about wiring these in series so that we have, even though we have 8 6-volt batteries, we can still wire these in series with parallel to create a 24-volt system. We'll explain some of that, but yeah, just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the batteries, about the solar panels, and more or less, this is good examples of finding sweet deals and cutting costs and making it possible to do what you're trying to do when people think that it's impossible. Holla at your boy. Stay tuned for the graphics. Here you go, guys. This is a slide I was talking about during the video. This particular slide is about the series and parallel wiring to use all 8 6-volt batteries to create what is essentially one gigantic 24-volt battery. It's pretty simple when you look at it. You've got the 2 series, which 6 times 4 is 24. So you got 24 volts on your left, 24 volts on your right. And then you combine both series in parallel to create the 24 volt, 450 amp hour setup. Basically, when you wire it like this, all 8 batteries will pretty much function as one gigantic 24 volt battery or 2 fairly big 24 volt batteries. 24 volt system is the most common. When you start getting into the 48 volt, you end up starting to pay an arm and a leg for stuff. A lot of the equipment that you pay for, it's like anything. You've got levels. You got 12 volt, 24 volt, 48 volt. 48 volt stuff tends to be a little more expensive. 12 volt stuff tends to be a lot less expensive, but 12 volt doesn't really pack the punch that you need. So 24 volt, it's a good middle of the spectrum, and it'll get the job done. So that's how you wire it up. And the next slide is going to show you the solar system itself and how the connections are made and the components involved. Guys, so this is basically the components of a DIY solar system. You can see you've got the 6 solar panels. These particular panels are 215 watt. We have 275 watt. Not a big deal because it doesn't affect the wiring or the way things are formatted. But you've got your from your solar panels, you've got everything going into the an overload breaker. This happens to be a 20 amp overload breaker. Then from there, it goes to a manual cutoff for your solar panels, because if you ever have to work on your solar panels, you're going to want to be able to have a shut off and stop any of the juice going in, say on your charge controller, if you wanted to switch out your charge controller, whatever the case may be. It's just good to have cutoffs in different locations along your wiring for safety and ease of maintenance. So you got the Outback charge controller here, the Midnight. The black charge controller down there on the left is a lot of people use it. $500, maybe $550, something like that. It gives you a lot of information, important information for you to keep track of things. Afterward, got another cutoff. From here, you got your central wiring terminal. This is going to kind of separate and split your juice. So you've got your juice coming in from the sun on the solar panels. Boom, goes into your charge controller. Charge controller tells it where to go. You've got your inverter. That white box says MagnaSine. That's a MagnaSine inverter, pure sine wave, and that is going to power. That turns the DC power coming from the solar panels into electricity. And then at the bottom, you can see clearly that those are the batteries. And also, when you're running solar panels, the charge controller is going to say, okay, it's sunny out. Don't worry about taking anything from the batteries. And in fact, if, as I said in the video, if you have a surplus, it'll say, here, I'm going to feed some of the batteries some of this juice because the house doesn't need it right now. Maybe nobody's home, whatever the case may be. But that sine wave inverter, you can see you've got the output headed out. That would go to your breaker panel for your house or tiny house, whatever the case may be. If it's ever cloudy or something like that, and the solar panels aren't really putting out the juice that they need to, the charge controller will say, all right, the house is having a draw, the fridge condenser kicks on, whatever the case may be. It'll start pulling from the batteries. It'll also pull from what it can from the solar panels, but if it's cloudy or if it's nighttime, you're not going to get anything out of those. So the battery bank is a real critical aspect to your solar system. But as I said in the video, it's one of those places where you can usually find a pretty good deal and cut some costs. Okay, so this last slide is pretty much what the cabinet's going to look like in our tiny house. You've got on the far left of the cabinet the on-demand hot water heater. And then you can see that they've made even though it's in the same cabinet, they've made a separate box for the solar setup, for the solar equipment. If you look down on the left there, you can see the charge controller. That's the old Midnight there from Outback. You've got the inverter that's right in the middle. And then you've got the battery or the battery bank. This looks like one of those large batteries that you can get. This particular battery, I think, retails for like $2,400 or something like that. But it pretty much does everything you need it to do. It's just one gigantic battery, so you don't have to make like a battery bank or anything like that. But both ways work fine. It's totally worth the money if you have the money to spend, and that's a big part of it. I don't have the money to spend. I'm no expert. I'm sure you can tell by the way I talk about shit, but at the end of the day, you learn as you go with a lot of things, and I'm a hands-on learner. I've done the research though, and I'm pretty confident about the way that we're going to go about doing this. But anywho, thanks for tuning in, and yeah, catch you guys next week. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Peace.